So I've lived in Florida now for a little over 5 years, and there's some things that I wish that I knew that now I've obviously figured out. And so if you're thinking about moving to Florida, today we're gonna run down a list of things that you need to know. Stay tuned. So there's 1,000 people that are moving to Florida every single day, and there's a lot of different reasons why. We're gonna jump into weather and employment and a lot of different things, but let's start with weather. Probably the most obvious, but one of the questions that I get asked all the time. People coming from the north and they're like, how hot does it really get? Well, it took me like 2 summers to get over the heat. Now, I wear jeans like pretty much every day. It's like mid-June. Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of my staple at this point. It gets like November through April, it's the most perfect weather. And then from May till October, it gets pretty hot. Here in Central Florida, which is where I live and where I sell real estate, it gets about high 80s, but super humid. And so it rains a lot. About 15 minutes every single day in the summer. Other than that, it's like the most perfect winters that you could ever imagine. Much better than snow in Detroit, which is where I'm from, and probably where you're watching this from right now. One tip, if you're nervous about how weather is going to affect you. I moved down here in July, and it was like trial by fire. It was crazy hot. And then by the time it got later and later in the year, it was like, oh, this is like such a relief, right? And then you got 6 months of amazing weather. Try that out. So if you're coming to check out the area, maybe come in the summer, see if that's something that you can handle. And if you can, then Florida might be for you. The last thing kind of wrapping up about weather, maybe number 2 would be hurricanes. I get asked all the time about how bad are hurricanes in Florida. Well, they can decimate areas of the state. That is definitely no joke. Here in Central Florida, we're not as worried about them. Irma, which was the last big hurricane that we had here, was a Category 5 when it hit the coast. By the time it made it up to us, it was kind of like a Category 1 or a tropical storm. It took some things off the different roofs, but for the most part, we're not as worried about hurricanes. The one thing I like about hurricanes over tornadoes, though, is at least you have a little bit of time to get used to it, right? You can watch the news, you know they're coming 5, 6, 7 days in advance. Whereas a tornado, if you're living in middle America, boom, it's there, right? And so that's a little bit different. Number 3 thing to think about when moving to Florida is the wildlife. The number 1 thing you probably have heard is gators, right? Gators must be everywhere. There's probably some gators in that lake. We're actually gonna go do a little paddleboarding there later. But there's a lot more wildlife here in Central Florida and Florida in general than you'd really think. There's deer, there's turkeys, there's snakes, there's raccoons, there's eagles, there's hawks. There's a ton of wildlife here that you can take advantage of and really enjoy when living in Florida. Another thing you need to know about moving to Florida is the toll roads. We've got a lot of toll roads that make it a lot easier to get around so that you don't have to worry about the interstate. We've got I-4 up there, which, yeah, it's pretty much at a standstill right now. And so if you've got a toll road opportunity to take it to and from work to your house, you should definitely take advantage of it, but it will be something that you need a budget for. It runs anywhere from like 50 cents to $1 anytime you get on and off. And so for me, I run, I'm on the car a lot. I put like 50,000 miles on my car a year. And I spend about $100 a month on toll roads. If you're not that much of a super user, you're probably not gonna spend $100, but what do you spend a month on tolls?
I have no idea.
It's just automatic?
My mom buys them for me.
Toll roads, make sure you check it out. In general, people assume that everybody that lives in Florida is older, right? It's like the retirement capital next to Arizona of the country, right? But the cool thing is, there's population that is older in 55 and older communities, but Orlando in general, Tampa, Jacksonville, Miami, they're kind of like any major metro. And so depending on where you're looking for and what you're into, depending on your stage of life, there's going to be something for you to take advantage of here in Florida. One of the other things I love about living in Florida is there's just unlimited things that you can do. There's Disney and Universal and just tons of things. There's boating opportunities, there's beaches everywhere, you've got NASA, you've got so many things to do throughout Central Florida and beyond. And so if you're looking for an active lifestyle, you're looking for restaurants and shopping, and I think Florida is an amazing opportunity no matter what you're into. One thing to think about is insurance costs when you're purchasing a house here in Florida. Insurance costs have really started rising up more and more here in Central Florida and Florida in general for a few different reasons. Number one is roof fraud. You've got going on. People have older roofs that need to be replaced, and so they start blaming it on weather events. Insurance companies have gotten really smart about it. So when they're sending out adjusters, it's getting really tough. And so you have insurance prices going up. You also have hurricane insurance and sinkhole insurance. That's something that is going to be area specific. Here in Central Florida, we really don't use hurricane insurance that much. Sinkhole insurance, it's an option, but when you're looking at running your numbers, make sure you're putting in insurance in your budget. Our population has absolutely exploded here in Central Florida and beyond. For every 7 people that move to Florida, only 1 leaves. And so I think that really speaks to the quality of life here in Florida. And so housing is actually getting really, really tough. Our housing market is exploding all over the country, but here in Central Florida, the average housing cost is up over 15% year over year, and that's continuing to get harder and harder for people to purchase. So most people, it's interesting, they say, I'm gonna move to Florida, it's gonna be so much less expensive to buy something, but in the really popular areas, housing prices are not as cheap as you'd think. So if you want to reach out, let me know about what you're looking to buy in different areas of Florida, and we can help you out. So if you've thought about making Florida home, I'd love to be your real estate resource of choice. Whether you're looking here in Orlando or beyond, I've got a network of agents that I can hook you up with if you're thinking about buying a house anywhere here in Florida. So hit that subscribe button as we're putting out new videos every single week about life here in Orlando. See you guys on the next video.